educating from Seattle, Washington, where it's one of the states that stated racism doesn't exist, and it actually did away with the affirmative action programs. One of the way that we were able to save the black contractors from completely getting wiped out of the businesses when major projects like sound transit, public transportation systems were coming into the towns was because of the federal dollars that were given to those contracts. I guess my question for you would be, who enforces to make certain, because it was the federal dollars that kind of saved the black contractors, saying, although affirmative action doesn't exist in the state of Washington, you are getting federal dollars, so you have to still keep the diversity goals. How do you make certain that those are being enforced? Because even though you can show disproportionality and all of those types of things, if it's only in the papers, it goes nowhere. So what are some of the positive things or successes that you've had in actually getting those enforced that you know around?
You've got the people who are going to be affected by that, the businesses and the contractors need some strong backbone. There is no way. Washington is a tough one. I remember when that happened. And our guys in Seattle that's not our greatest chamber, but they need backbone. Now, California, which really started all this mess, California is 53% minority. And if they could only figure out that they could make the mayors and the governors, mayors of all the largest, how does a city of San Diego not have one black business with a construction contract in the last 5 years? How does that happen? You know, and my advice to those black contractors, time to get tough. Now, you got the power of the vote. If you team up with the Hispanic community and the Asian community in California, you're the majority. What's your problem? And I love Congresswoman Maxine Waters. She talks that game, but you go to her district where I have tons of cousins living, and you throw up. You ain't too tough. Not tough yet. You talk tough. Let's be tough. I mean, you got a Hispanic mayor of Los Angeles. You got 3 black congresswomen and 5 Hispanic congresspeople. That's your town. And you can't have a minority program? Are you crazy? I hope I answered your question. It takes will, political will and courage.
I tried to stay away from this, but you mentioned California. That brings up a gentleman named Ward Conley, who's going around across the. He has spoken. He had a debate here. I think it was last year about the elimination of various affirmative action programs. Can you kind of comment on where's the position of the National Black Chamber of Commerce as it relates to Ward Conley?
Just stupid Ward Conley. I call him something else, but I'm not going to say it here. Yeah, here's the case of a guy, grew up in Jim Crow, Texas, moves out to California, marries him, a white woman, and tells his children to classify themselves as being white. Takes 5 years, 6 years to get a bachelor's degree from a state school in California, and makes a living from business contracts that he runs through his wife's name as a woman business from the state of California. This guy's made millions of dollars under the Women Business Program in California, and then jumps up and says he wants to do away with all these programs. He's getting paid to do this. He's nothing but a for-hire stooge. And I have an open offer to debate him any place, any time. Or fight him. Either way. You know? Choose your weapon, Ward. You know? And I've been to San Francisco. I've been to Sacramento, and I've told my people, whip his butt. Whip him. Make him so intimidated that he won't even go to a grocery store. You know, that's what you need to do. Nobody in D.C. can get away with that. You let Ward Conley try to get away with that in Chicago, you know? So that's what people need. California too easy. I grew up there, man. I had to leave.
When the name minority was used, we've just done a statistical analysis of the Census Bureau information and found out statistically that the African American earns the least of any other minority group by a large measure. The question is, how could that be when the laws were passed to include us, and yet we wind up last?
Yeah, and that's our fault. And you do an analysis, and we don't own enough of our own businesses or do business with each other. For one thing about Hispanics and Asians, you get 15 Asians to move into a town, they're going to all do business with each other. First thing they're going to do is open up their Chinese restaurant and do business there. And then they're going to put somebody to college to be a Chinese lawyer and somebody to represent them medically. So you go to Texas into a Hispanic community and you see all this money circulating. You know, all that money circulating. And you go to Miami and you see the billboards, and here are the lawyers, you know, a billboard of 25 Hispanic lawyers. Take your pick, hit the telephone numbers. And they're going to use them. We don't think like that. And that is a culture change we need to have. Now, when I had some video stores, I had competition across the street from me, a white-owned video store. His business was mainly black, my business is mainly white. Because I had the better deal. And the blacks didn't want the better deal, they wanted to do business with the white guy. They didn't want to make me rich. Right. You know, so that's our problem.
Okay.
And you're right. And what we have to do, and what your city council people and others have to do, is when they get these minority reports, break that down. Because what you see in Oklahoma, what we saw was blacks were doing less than 0.5%. Hispanics are doing 4%. Native Americans are doing 25%. Right. That's still discrimination.
Right. Well.